Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Reality Report. My name is Katerina, and today we're exploring Asset Performance Management, or APM, a strategic approach that's reshaping how asset-intensive industries maximize value and navigate risk in the digital era. With aging infrastructure and mounting pressure for sustainability and efficiency, industrial organizations need smarter ways to get a line of sight into their assets, their health, and the associated risks and opportunities. Does APM hold the answer, and how to make it work? To guide us through this, we have Executive Solution Consultant Yanni Pappas with us today. Welcome, Yanni.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here with you.
Yanni, why should leaders prioritize APM now, and how can digital transformation advance asset strategies rather than complicate them?
Yeah, that's a great question. As you mentioned earlier, asset-intensive industries are challenged by aging infrastructure, workforce transition or workforce transformation, right? Market pressures, and clearly the imperatives for efficiency and sustainability. Asset performance management addresses these type of challenges through a centralized implementation of asset management strategies that brings information silos and blend digital technologies with institutional knowledge and industrial best practices. So this enables organizations to optimize asset value, improve capital efficiency, enhance risk mitigation, and support the shift towards greener, sustainable operations. In addition, we are witnessing the dramatic evolution of digital technologies in the last several years. Think about AI, machine learning, smart sensors, IoT, big data, all this industrial revolution, right? And what happens is, without a structured implementation of such technologies, these tools can generate an abundance of information that overwhelm teams in the field, and they limit the potential impact of the technologies to the organization. So APM provides a well-defined methodological approach to data and technology management, right? And this aligns with digital initiatives with business objectives, resulting in improved asset performance, better overall value realization, and a distinct competitive edge. By transforming asset management into a strategic capability, APM empowers executives to drive operational excellence and secure long-term growth.
That's a great insight. Could you please share a bit more about the trends that you are seeing in the APM landscape?
Yeah, sure. APM, asset performance management, has been around for nearly 30 years. Originally, it was kind of a focus industry for oil and gas, and secondarily maybe for power generation industry. But with the growth of digital technologies in the last 10 years or so, APM adoption has expanded in other industries, I would say with varying pace, right? So think about industries like chemicals, mining and metals, pulp and paper. These were one of the next adopters, and I think in the last few years, with this growth of exponential growth of digital technologies, now I'm seeing increased interest and investment from sectors like transportation, utilities, manufacturing, even in some cases from I've seen examples of APM usage in the retail industry, right? So essentially, as long as you have assets that are critical to operations and their failure can have a significant financial impact, APM is finding a strong value proposition. So if you link that to the Gartner report, I think it's called the CIO and Technology Survey or Executive Survey, you will see that this is reflected there as the majority of the respondents have identified asset performance management as a key technology investment priority.
Yeah, that's great. A common question in the industry is whether asset performance management is simply about predictive maintenance or forecasting equipment failures. What is your perspective on that?
I'm glad you bring this up. It's a common misconception, I would say, and there are organizations out there that are branding predictive analytics tools as APM, which, from my point of view, it's frankly an overstatement somehow, right? So predictive analytics are indeed a component of asset performance management as a whole, right? But predictive analytics are focusing really only on the idea that we have sensors, we analyze the sensors, we detect, we apply some machine learning or some kind of other technology to detect a potential failure, right? And there is value to that, but it is only limited and focuses on specific, isolated, well-instrumented assets. So APM, on the other side, it's much more than detecting failures, right? When we talk about APM, we refer to the ability to assess the assets and strategies systematically. to develop best practices for managing the assets depending on their importance and their impact on the business, right? To identify when maintenance is needed, what data is required, how to analyze this data, how to respond to this data after you analyze this data, to leverage tools like root cause analysis and asset assessments to drive a continuous improvement into the asset strategy, in how you manage assets, right, in the asset strategy management. And of course, to tightly integrate with other tools like the EAM tools, but also rounds or inspection tools, all kind of operational technology data sources that an organization has. And that's, I think, it's kind of the multiplication, real value multiplication factor, right? Like predictive analytics help us detect some failures, but a comprehensive asset performance management transforms the entire asset value equation. So organizations can that implement the full APM scope can expect, improvements in reduction in downtime and plant downtime by 20 to 40%, an improvement of 10 to 20% in asset lifecycle costs. So, they often can defer major capital expenditures by extending the asset life through better asset management strategies. So there's clearly much more value proposition through a global holistic asset performance management perspective.
I see. So how organizations can ensure that they're fully leveraging APM to generate value? Where do they need to start?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a question I often hear it in the field. Really the most important element for successful asset performance management project is organizational self-awareness. Recognizing that you can extract more value from the assets and having clear intentions and defined goals, specific KPIs defined, such as like whatever it could be, like increasing throughput, reducing cost, or reducing risk, optimizing the processes, but a good awareness and goals to achieve those. And then with a well-rounded, easy-to-use solution like the one that we have here at Hexagon, then organizations do not need to be super mature. They don't need to be super instrumental to get the benefits, right? Let me give you an example. I recently spoke with a company that they knew they were doing old school type of maintenance, run to failure type of maintenance strategy, right? They understood also that they were leaving money on the table somehow, right? And they wanted to improve. So that was a sufficiently good starting point for them to start with APM. With APM, they had the framework to start analyzing their assets, prioritize the areas of highest value, develop, improve asset management and asset maintenance strategies, and in many cases even identify where they need to invest on sensors to have a better value return, right? So this is a true APM project where the goal is to drive asset strategy improvement step by step. It doesn't have to be a big bang. You don't have to be super mature. And that's something we consistently find. We find that in the field, we find that organizations need far less data than they may assume that they need, and they tend to have sufficiently more data than they realize. No? And most importantly, they have also the knowledge, the people knowledge, the extensive knowledge about their assets, their operations, their maintenance practices, and then APM helps them unlock all this knowledge into business value.
Thanks, Yanni, for sharing your knowledge. It's clear that APM is not just about technology, but also about developing an enterprise capability that transforms how you think about assets, risks, and value creation while delivering the operational excellence that shareholders and boards expect, right? In today's competitive environment, that's not optional, that's essential for sustainable growth. Thanks everyone for joining our reality report today, and feel free to post any questions, feedback in the comments, and we look forward to seeing you soon in our next reality report.
Thank you.